Hello, guys. How are y'all today? Hope everything is well in your corner of the world, and I hope you are getting settled into a new way of life. And my goodness, this has been pretty crazy, but we are attempting to manage and beginning to learn to switch our lens instead of seeing God through life's lens, life through God's lens. So, as you already know, we are in the process of giving you some truths we need to be reminded of when life gets sideways. So, today we are covering the sixth truth. And so I'll run through the first five of those, and then I think you'll see how number six is pretty relevant. Number one, God has me, God has us, God has this right here, right now, within this situation. So we know that that's a reality. Number two, there is not one single thing that can touch me that God hasn't either sent or allowed to come into my life. We've already talked about that. No reason to hit that again. Third truth, God is absolutely in control. He is sovereign over all things. Therefore, I can trust His judgment in the midst of whatever process I am experiencing. Number four, God sees and is working toward a much larger picture than I have the ability to see. See how these are beginning to really kind of form and gel and really help us understand and articulate specific truths that are key in the midst of being able to engage, embrace, and enjoy our processes. Number five, which we talked about last time, God is considering a multitude of things that we do not even know to consider. Our little finite mind only sees a little sliver of what God sees. God sees that entire big picture. So it's important for us to understand that we are not the know-it-all, and we just simply do not know everything like He does. And His judgment is based upon those things. So that leads me to number six, and I think you're going to really enjoy this one. So here it is. Let me reread number five, and then we'll hit number six. Number five, God is considering a multitude of things that I do not know to consider. Number six, here it is, today's truth. Unless I know all things, and guess what? I don't. Unless I know all things, I willingly forfeit the right to assess whether this scenario that I'm experiencing, whatever that might be, I willingly forfeit the right to assess whether this scenario is good for me or not. Wow. Wow. God brings His judgment upon things, allowing or sending things to come into our life because He sees how it will work for us. Evaluating a multitude of scenarios and outcomes that we don't have the capacity to see. So unless I know all of this, then I willingly step back away and let God take front and center and let God simply be God. Because the reality is this: I don't know all things, and therefore I willingly step back away from being in control and attempting to interpret the events and the circumstances that I'm facing in any moment. I simply step back and let God be the authority in the midst of that process. If He chooses to reveal what's going on, that's awesome. If He chooses not to, guess what? That's equally awesome, because He's using our faith, again, to hold us together like we talked about a couple of times ago. In the midst of that process, God is working to bring about His plan in a way that we would never choose for ourselves. But He knows that it is highly beneficial and absolutely necessary that we go through the things that we're going through. It becomes our training ground as we trust Him in the midst of whatever that process might be. Unless I know all things, I must forfeit the right to assess whether this scenario is good for me or not. Blessings, and I will see you for part truth number 7. See ya.